The one is the undue political influence of the unions. So we have a big union to which probably around 2/3 of teachers belong, SATU, and SATU, both in relation to their political bargaining, but also their on-the-ground influence over what teachers do in schools and principals do in schools, is disruptive to the business of schooling and counterproductive to the aims of learning in many instances. They're not all bad. I mean, the unions do good things as well. SATU does good things as well. The second issue is teacher competence. So we know that teachers' subject knowledge is very poor. Teachers' language competence is poor. And that is both in teaching of Indigenous African languages as well as English. In particular, teachers' maths knowledge, their science knowledge is not adequate to supporting students to successfully complete. The third really big issue is the issue of early grade reading, and a well-known statistic that's most people have, well, a lot of people are becoming familiar with, and that is that 78% of children can't read for meaning by the end of grade 4 in any language. So that's not just in English. There is no magic silver bullet. There's no one thing that if we get that right, we're going to get education right. Rather, there are multiple things that need to happen. But I think that thinking about the system as differentiated or unequal, actually, and thinking about where we might most equitably intervene and target funding to that is really important. I think it's about really starting to focus on the poorer end properly with targeted interventions that also think about not what would be nice or good or wonderful or fanciful even, but what are the basic things that need to be in place before we can do anything else. And some of those things are around infrastructure, some of them are around basic teacher knowledge, some of them are actually just about getting teachers to be in the classroom when they're supposed to be in the classroom. I certainly think that the question of how it's brought in is absolutely crucial. There are plenty of schools in the developed world that do not have any tech in their classrooms and very little in their schools, because they've found that what tech does is it has led to a decline in student outcomes. So it's a distraction rather than a learning aid. But I just think that we, for the majority, are very far from being able to meaningfully implement tech in our schools, both in terms of connectivity, the cost of data, and also most tech is like a textbook, unless it's mediated well by a competent teacher, it's as good as anything else. I think we've got other things to sort out before we get there. And I think that it all depends on how the technology is used. The first thing is they need to learn to read. And it is very difficult for a child to learn to read without a competent teacher who can help them. I mean, kids who are coming from very literate homes where there are lots of books, etc., will learn to read more easily, but children who are arriving at school and encounter a book for the first time when they get to grade R or grade 1 need a very skilled teacher to teach them to read. So I would say that's the number one thing that needs to be happening in our schools. We need to make schools much safer spaces for children, where they feel encouraged, cared for, safe, and where teachers have high expectations of them. Thirdly, I think that we need some kind of program of teacher upskilling. We need to give teachers an opportunity to hone their skills and to sometimes learn from scratch, They haven't had that opportunity, but to keep on going with, we've got a good curriculum in place, I think. Well, it's got problems, but it's solid. It's been there for a while. It's stable. Now we need to build on that and help teachers so that they're able to interpret that curriculum in a meaningful way for students and support students through their learning. And so that comes to the issue that I raised earlier around teacher knowledge. I think that's an absolutely critical issue.